Hey, what's going on? My name is Coach Lee Hopkins. My pronouns are he, him, his, and you're listening to the Patterns of Possibility podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to helping you replace harmful patterns with new possibilities. In each episode, we'll explore topics that inspire you to be yourself, live your truth, and make lasting connections. In this episode, we're going to talk about boundaries. Boundaries. We're always talking about boundaries, but come on. I mean, we can never stop talking about them. What I want to do here specifically today is talking about a different type of boundaries. 3 different types of boundaries, actually. And I want to tell you that setting these boundaries, I'm going to tell you what they are in the podcast, but setting these boundaries is going to help you tremendously. We're going to take the ambiguity out of it, and we're going to talk about just 3 today, what they are, why you should set them, and how they are going to change your life. Are you ready? Let's go. All right, like I said at the top of this, boundaries. You know how to set boundaries, you know what boundaries are, maybe you don't know. So let's start with that little definition of what I say boundaries are, because when I learned about boundaries when I was like in my 20s, my mid-20s, I learned about them. It was essentially saying no to people. Like, that's a boundary. You say no. And I may have told this story to you many times, but you're going to hear it again, today. You're going to hear this again. So it's about this story when I went to I was dating people on Craigslist. Okay, don't judge me. This was like 2012 or something, probably even earlier than that, whatever. But Craigslist had this little dating section place, and I used to go over there because, hey, I had no idea how to meet new people and connect or anything like that. So anyway, there was. And I had connected with a woman who said that they were interested in hanging out. And I was like, yes, bet, that's going to be great. At this point in time, I'd been on enough Craigslist dates that I was trying to save some money. I was like, I'm not doing the $50 Cheesecake Factory dates or anything like that anymore. It's not leading to anything. So I'm going to try something different and have them actually just do a Dutch thing. They're going to pay for theirs, I'll pay for mine. And they were like, boo, I don't like that. If you want to date me, if you want to hang out with me, then you are going to pay. And I was like, fine. Because I also believe that the more masculine person is supposed to pay and all those stuff. So anyway, I was like, yeah, fine, I will. But we're going to go somewhere cheap. We're going to go somewhere cheap, somewhere fast casual, where the meal is not going to be $50. I said something like that. I was like, yeah, look, we're going to go somewhere where it's like $10 for each of us. Our entrees are going to be something like that. I'd be happy to pay. I'd like to get to know you and so forth, right? And so they were like, whatever. When I get to the restaurant, I'm going to get the most expensive thing on the menu. And I was like, come on, that's ridiculous, because I just told you I didn't want to spend that much money. I told you that. I said that. I looked in your eyes and I said that, and you were like, okay. Anyway, we get to the restaurant, and it's a Bob Evans or Denny's, something like that. We go in. I look at the menu. I look for the most expensive thing on the menu just to make sure that I'm not going to get the most expensive thing to mess me up, because I thought they were just joking, but I wanted to be sure. So maybe there was some belief in the back of my mind that was like, I'm going to see. This is a test. I'm going to see. I'm going to make sure. I see it. Anyway, I ordered my food. The waitress came by, ordered my food, put my order in, and the waitress is like, oh, and for you, ma'am? And my date had said they wanted the salmon. And guess what, y'all? The salmon, say it with me, was the most expensive thing on the menu. That's right, audience. It was the most expensive thing on the menu, and I was pissed. I was mad. And this is where my boundary kicked in. This is where I was like, no, you don't get that. I told the person I was dating or on the date with, you don't get that. And I told the waitress, she's going to order something else. And I think my date got a grilled cheese sandwich and something, and I paid for the meal. I think I paid for the meal. If we sat there, I don't recall now that I'm saying this out loud, but I know that thing happened. And guess what, y'all? I felt so proud. I had set a boundary that was the best thing I've ever set in my entire life. I'm not going to let anybody push me over. I'm not going to let anybody take me for granted. But listen, throughout that conversation or throughout that exchange and meeting this person for the very first time, they stepped over my boundaries many times. I had said, this is what I wanted, and they said, this is what you're going to get. I had said, I don't want to spend money on a date. I want you to pay. And they said, you're going to spend money on me. I said, I don't want to go to an expensive place. And they were like, fine, I'll get the most expensive thing. They were still trying to get money. They're still going to use me and all that stuff. And I didn't see it at that time. If I know what I know now, if I'd known what I know today, we'd never been on that date. First of all, I wouldn't even be on Craigslist. But second of all, as soon as I express my needs, wants, and desires to somebody and they make an effort to not hear me or say something else or push the boundary or still see if they can do a thing because they want something more than my own comfort, they don't care about that, then no, I don't need to convince you to treat me well. I don't need to. All I need to do is set a boundary. I don't need to wait until I'm poked and prodded and frustrated enough to raise my voice and yell at you and embarrass myself, embarrass you, and yell at somebody who doesn't need to be in the situation. I don't need that to happen. What I need to do, what I understand to do now, is setting a boundary, and that happens way, way, way before we get to that point. So I want to talk about setting these 3 kinds of boundaries that will help you. So you don't have to, get into that situation. What is it that you're setting? What kind of boundaries are you setting with people so you don't find yourself yelling at people or frustrated because somebody completely stepped over your boundary? If you don't know what boundaries are, here are 3 to help you out, right? All right, the first one is emotional boundaries. So this one involves being aware of your emotional needs and your limits. So while you respect other people's feelings, you are not responsible for their feelings. So in the case of this woman who was like, look, I want fancy meals and I want champagne toast, and get out of here with that. I'm not responsible for your desires and your needs to have those things. And if you're going to pout and be sad and not hang out with me and be angry with me because I'm not going to do those things, then hey, go ahead. I understand what my emotional needs are. And you're not going to make me responsible for your happiness or your sadness. And I won't make you responsible for mine either. So that's where emotional boundaries come in. It involves you being aware of your emotional needs. That's one. Second is communication boundaries. Now, setting boundaries around communication involves being clear about how you prefer to communicate. So how often you prefer, what you like to do to talk to each other. If you like to get on Zoom and talk every time you're having a conversation, you want to text each other, you want to have a phone call. How are you communicating with each other? Do you want to see each other face to face? Do you want to yell at each other out the window because maybe you live close enough to do that? Is that your jam? How do you want to communicate? And you have to be able to know what's comfortable for you and being able to tell that to another person, right? Because it could mean like agreeing on response times to messages or discussing topics that are off limits. It could be all those things. So you want to have conversations about it. Like, hey, best friend, I really love you to death and I'm really cool with hanging out with you. But listen, I don't want to talk about what's going on with you and your boyfriend or whatever, in the bedroom. I don't want to talk about that. I don't care about that, stuff like that. And it's absolutely legit. Because some people you can talk to about your finances and some people you can't, right? Some people have the expertise and they'll give you advice and opinions and things like that. But other people, you're bored to death or they'll be bored to death of you, right? So you want to know what you're going to talk about and how you're going to communicate to each other. That's going to set those expectations. Oh, you didn't talk to me in 5 weeks. What's going on here? You don't want to wait till it gets to that point. You want to be able to talk like, yeah, I would like to talk with you more often. Well, what's more often to you? Once a week? Legit. I'll check in with you. You check in with me. If we know that much time has gone by, then perhaps there's something wrong. If you have that boundary and it has been crossed or it has been adjusted in some way, it's going to be easy to notice. Okay? So that's going to be helpful. And then the final one is time boundaries. No one's going to cherish your time as much as you do. I'm telling you, nobody cares about you and your time. You have to protect that. You have to protect it. I had to teach others how to respect me, respect my time by putting limits on what I would and would not tolerate. Like, so we're talking for a half an hour, then we're talking for a half an hour. If I've got things to do and I continue to talk to you on the phone for an hour because I didn't hang up the phone or you really wanted to talk, then that's on me. That really is on me. You're going to set those boundaries, and you got to let people know when they run into them or what the expectations are. If you know it for yourself first, if you know it and you can clearly articulate it to other people, it's going to be easier for them to have guidelines. Because, if you just pick up the phone and somebody really needs to hold space, they need you to hold space for them. Like, they really want to talk about their terrible day, but you have a meeting in 15, 20 minutes that you need to prepare for. You can say, listen, I don't have time right now. I cannot talk to you right now. I definitely care about you, but let's do it another time. You set up those boundaries. This is the expectation of how much time I can spend with you and how much time you want from me. You can know that. I will make sure to let you know. And this also talks about arriving on time, like meeting each other. So you've got a friend that's always late and it irks you. I don't know. You're going to have to make some adjustments to it. You can make some adjustments rather to it. Like, I've heard some people just say, my friend always is a half an hour late. So I invite them at the wrong time so they'll show up at the right time. If you want to do that mental gymnastics, then that's fine to do those things. Or you can have a conversation with them too and say, look, this is what I'm going to tolerate. If you were 10 minutes late the next time, I'm not going to show up. However, if this is 10 minutes late the next time, I'm leaving. I'm not waiting there for you. So you're either going to prioritize and get there on time or you're not. However you want to work it out is important for you and your friend or your relationship, whatever it looks like. The important thing is that you talk about it and you know what the expectations are. When people say teach them how to treat you, this is what they mean. They don't mean coddle them and baby them. You set the expectations for how you want things to be, and then you talk about it. If you need help with this, I have a boundaries blueprint workbook that's meant to help you understand exactly how to find your boundaries and what words to use to say them in a clear, kind, and concise manner to your friend. Essentially, teach them how to treat you. Check the link in the show notes to get your copy today. Hey, Patterns of Possibility fam. If you'd like a little more guidance and hands-on support, then I've got great news. You can hire me as your own personal coach. Go to patternsofpossibility.com/coaching to apply for individual or group coaching. In this 12-week program, I'm going to help you make the meaningful connections that you deserve. After this coaching program, I promise you'll be able to do 3 things. 1, you'll be able to clearly identify who belongs in your tribe and who doesn't. Say goodbye to those people who are wishy-washy, you're unsure of. No, you will know for certain whether or not they deserve to be in the same space with you. And 2nd, you are going to know that your thoughts and feelings are valid and worth expressing. So if you do have feelings about your friends not holding up boundaries or not holding up space for you or not meeting your needs, then you are not going to shy away from telling them. You will be able to communicate your boundaries in a clear, concise manner and advocate for yourself in your relationships. And finally, you are going to learn how to start and stop conversations with strangers and steer them towards topics that are interesting and important to you. I don't know about you, but I don't have weeks, months, years to discover whether or not me and my new friend have compatible values. If you know what you're looking for, you can discover if you're compatible in just a few conversations. If all this sounds good to you and you're ready to make those meaningful connections, go to patternsofpossibility.com/coaching to find out more information. Again, go to patternsofpossibility.com/coaching to find out more information. I look forward to working with you. Now it's time for your listener letters. If you have burning questions about your friendships and your platonic relationships with your coworkers and so forth, let me know. Write me at patternsofpossibility@gmail.com, and I might just read your letter out loud. This one is about owing somebody an explanation. I am a 26-year-old female. I have a really overbearing friend who is a 27-year-old female. It's been about a month since we've properly spoken. I said I needed some space to deal with some work stuff. I've been forgiving again and again about constant terrible behavior. I've tried to have a conversation a few months ago about my feelings, and I barely got an apology, which I accepted, but then their behaviors repeated. They recently sent me a message that felt like they were baiting me to reply, a condescending message about my feelings and making the time that I needed for myself, and all about how I'm going out of my way to hurt them intentionally. It sounds like the writer is talking about how they went out of their way to be disrespectful by taking care of themselves, and their friend is upset about it. So they go on to say, all I have done is be supportive for a decade while having my feelings and boundaries constantly crossed and disrespected. While this person spoke terribly about others and disclosed to people personal information about me. I don't want this behavior of a friendship to be a representation of who I am as a person. I'm tired of this friendship. I'm tired of it, and it's about time that it ends. Do I owe this person an explanation? Do I have to spell things out for them in toddler terms in order for them to understand and subsequently repeat the same behaviors? So they don't think that they're going to be effective when they spell it out either. This is what I'm reading too. It doesn't look like they're going to be effective. So I'm struggling because if I know I cut off the friendship, they would be extremely hurt and victimizing themselves. I don't like creating hurt in other people, but I also know I can't continue to place myself in situations of humiliation. They will still know everyone I know since we are all from the same township in Canada, where everybody knows everybody. And there's a possibility that they will try to go around and smear me if I do this, but I can't put up with this much longer. Any advice is appreciated. All right. So dope. So glad that you put this stuff out here, you know? Well, let's see. What's the next steps? What is it for you? Because this person who wrote this seems very well understanding of themselves and recognizing these patterns of behavior in their friend. It seems like they see it pretty clearly. They know what they're up against. Time and time again, they put up boundaries. Time and time again, they have had them knocked down. So what do? What do we do here? Why are we here? What's going on? Why don't we just let go of this person? Because of shame? Because of guilt? Because of what other people are going to think about what we do? Other people are going to respond some kind of way. So this is very, very common. Very, very common. We're just living our lives to appease other people and not paying attention to how we feel, or being afraid of how we might feel later when other people know about our feelings, when they know about us really, when they see us authentically. We're terrified that this whole township is going to think that I'm a bad person because I let her go, or something like that. Your friend doesn't sound good, and it'd be the best thing in the world to release that person, I think. But the question really is, do you owe an explanation? Do you know an explanation of this to this person? And I would be like, no. You know, anybody an explanation. You could tell anybody. It's an opportunity for some people to learn. It's a nice gift to share with some people. You know, it's nice to let people know why things didn't work out. Like, for me, I went on a date some years ago, and I was learning this concept of feedback. I was learning this concept of feedback from my therapy sessions. And I got on this date with them, and the first date was great. Because you know what? Friday nights in my apartment were like the cleanest times of my apartment, because I just thought, well, I'm going to bring somebody back. So, it is going to be a great night. And for this person, my place was really clean. We didn't make it back to my apartment that night, unfortunately. But we did have a great time, and she asked for another date. I was like, yeah, dope. The second date was so lame. I had nothing to say. I was not interesting, was just kind of blah, right? The second time. And so I was like, I think that's what happened. I wonder what happened with her. And we ended the date kind of early, and definitely didn't come back to my place. It's sad. But they just disappeared. And I was thinking, you know what? Maybe I should ask them. I'm going to call them I'm going to ask them for some feedback. I'm going to ask them what happened on their side. And they didn't pick up the phone. But I left a voicemail asking for some feedback. I'd just like to know if you could just tell me what was like for you. What was your experience? And they replied. It was just very kind. I'm very excited because she didn't owe me anything. But I was open to it. And I don't believe she would have told me unless I asked for it, right? And then many times before that, I was not in a position to receive any kind of feedback. But here is a potential romantic interest telling me why they're not interested in me. And I asked for that information. I wanted it, or how the date was for them. And I appreciated the feedback. I received it. I asked for it. I wanted it. Your friend, this 27-year-old person, on the other hand, they don't care about anything you say. They're not interested in how you feel at all. And you know that. And you know that. And you know it. You know it. Because you know that there's a pattern of behavior. Constant, terrible behavior, as you say. Just, they blame, they shame, they guilt. They do all these things that are hurtful. They don't listen to your feelings at all. They twist the fact that you went out to do some self-care to an attack on themselves. Feedback is a gift. This explanation that you think about, it takes time. It takes energy. It takes thought to put into this gift that you're going to give to them. You know how they're going to treat it. You already know. You already know. You imagine putting together a nice little package with like special paper and a bow that you hand tie, and you gift that to them. Like, just put both your hands out, this nice beautiful gift. Let's imagine it's the size of a tissue box, and you give that to them. Like, here's my gift to you to let you understand why I'm not going to hang out with you anymore. Feedback is a gift, no matter what's inside. They're going to look at that and slap it right out of your hands. Bah! Slap right out of your hands. Because they don't care. You owe her an explanation. You don't owe anybody an explanation. And you think about how your friend, quotes, heavy quotes, might want to receive this information, might find joy in it. No, they're not. I want you to think about how you feel, how you are going to feel when they slap that shit right out of your hands. Don't care about that. All the time and energy and effort you put into finding the right gifts, the right words to say, wrapping it up nice and neat, putting that bow on it, all the energy you put into delivering that to someone just to have it mistreated, thrown to the ground. No, give her no explanation. Those are the kind of people you ghost, because you've been saying over and 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 over again, I don't like the way you're treating me. I don't like it. They're not going to hear you when you say goodbye. They're not going to hear you. Don't waste your time and your energy. You let those people kind of ghost. Let them go. They don't even know. You're not even a real person to them. That's how I think about people who don't want to hear how I feel. I'm not a real person. They're wrapped in their own feelings. And the best thing you can do for this kind of people is let them be in their own feelings. Once they realize that there's nobody around physically, there's nobody who wants to connect with them, they're going to have to contend with their feelings. They have to do something. But this is the best gift for them is to not explain, let go, and don't worry about the other people out there who she might tell stuff about you. You know how you are. You know you're a great person. So what if people know something about you? They probably already do, because based on her behavior, they're going to be fine. You're going to be okay. And another thing is that, well, if they would consider the source, because I'm sure she's not like this with she's like this with everybody. She's not just like this with you. She's like this with other people too. Not very kind, overbearing, making things about them, running over people's boundaries. I'm sure people know who she is. And when they when they hear a story about you from her, they're going to be, I'm going to consider the source. They're going to consider the source. They're like, oh, this is messy. This woman is messy. I'm not even going to think about it. Not even going to worry about it. So take care of yourself. Please don't put any energy into trying to figure out how to explain anything to her. The best thing you can do for you, and this is all we care about, is to release her, let her go, and move on with your life. Hey, thank you so much for listening. If you like this podcast, share with someone who you think could benefit from this information, and follow me on social media. You can find me at Patterns of Possibility on all social media, and I go live on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can catch me and learn more about these social connections and interact with other people who are looking for the meaningful connections, who share the same kind of stories, and be in community. And don't forget to sign up for my newsletter at patternsofpossibility.com, where you will get actionable steps delivered to your mailbox every week. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, take care.